Hey, fifth graders, how's it going? All right, so this is not 11.4. Sorry, it does deal with 3D figures, but it's not 11.4. All right, so this is actually 11.5, and we're going to be talking about unit cubes and solid figures. So first of all, a unit cube. A unit cube is basically something that looks just like that. Okay, it is a cube, obviously, because unit cube, but it's one unit by one unit. Really, what it is it's kind of a placeholder for actual units. So it's not, it could be 5 inches long and 5 inches tall, but we just say that it's 1 unit by 1 unit by 1 unit. So when we talk 3D figures here, real quick, all right. So all 3-dimensional figures, you'll notice, they all have 3 things. Notice the 3. That. Okay? They've got length, they've got width, and they've got height. Okay? Length, width, and height. Okay. So here's our 3. There. Okay. So when we talk unit cubes, basically we're just saying that the length is equal to 1 unit, doesn't matter what type of unit. The width is equal to 1 unit. And the height is equal to 1 unit. Okay? So 1 by 1 by 1. All right? We've talked a little bit just in your morning work when it's come up about how to find volume, right? We multiply length times width times height. Well, if you multiply 1 times 1 times 1, your answer is still 1. Okay, so when we are talking unit cubes, we could say that the basically the volume of a figure is just adding up all the unit cubes. So this first lesson is super easy. There's only 11 questions, so it should be pretty quick and painless. But they give you a bunch of shapes, and then they just want you to know, or want you to figure out how many units they are. Now, some of those shapes are things like this, okay? So I'll get that in a little bit closer. I picked lots of different colors, so hopefully you'll be able to tell. But you could probably count that up and say that that is 7 unit cubes, right? And if we were to make it maybe a little more complex, so we've got something like this now, which could be a 2. Don't be confused, it's not a 2, nor is it a 5. Or I guess this is backwards. So, sorry, I'm looking at it on the screen. So it looks to me like a 5, but it probably looks like a 2 to you. Anyway, one of these is a 5, one of these is a 2. Doesn't matter. Regardless, if you count up the number of unit cubes, right, you'll see that there's 3 here, and then 1 here, and then 3 more. So we're up to 7. Then there's 1 right here. That's 8, plus 3 more, so that's 11. So there's 11 total unit cubes. So you would write that it is 11 unit cubes. That's its volume, even though it's not even going to use the word volume here in your assignment. Now, there are going to be occasions where it will give you unit cubes that look, or shapes made of unit cubes that look something like this, okay? Now here, notice that it is a little thicker and it's very flimsy, so hopefully it won't fall apart, but it probably will at some point. Okay, so we've got, really this is what? If you remember from previous lessons, this is a prism, right? It's a rectangular prism. Oop, yep, I lost one. I figured that was going to happen. That's okay, I've got another one. All right, so it's just going to fall apart on me. So, rectangular prism. We've got 3 this way, 3 this way. That gives me just terrible. 9 total, and it is 2 thick, right? So 3 times 3 times 2 tells us that it is 9 plus 9, which is 18, right? Or 3 times 3 is 9, times 2 is 18. Okay? Whenever you see a shape like this, and actually there's a shape very similar to this on number 3, and then again on number 11, assume that the things that you can't see, so it'll be, positioned like this, right? So you can see these 9 here, and that one's about to fall off. This whole thing's about to fall apart. And you can see that there's basically 6 on this side, right? So 2 things to be careful of. Let's try and push this back together. First of all, don't count faces, all right? So if I have it sit like this, you don't count 1 here and 2 there. That's not how this works, right? This one, so when I count this as 1, that's also this back part. Also, any shape that anything that you can't see, assume that it is there unless they tell you otherwise, right? So I could pull out, maybe. Okay, well, these want to fall apart, so let's just do that. Okay, so I can pull out this, this back piece, right? And then turn it this way, and if I gave that to you and said, okay, how many unit cubes is this? Well, if you didn't know that that back part was missing, you might assume that it was 18, but in fact it is 17. The book will not do that to you. Don't assume that they are going to, okay? Unless they specifically tell you that some part of it is missing, assume that it is there, just because otherwise they would show it to you. So that'll get you through lesson 11.5, and then 11.6 is actually the same thing, except for they start giving you actual dimensions as opposed to saying that it is, unit cubes. They start throwing in centimeters, but they still give you the little boxes. Oh, this is just terrible. Okay, let's pull. Oh, these stick together real nicely. Okay. So they'll basically say that each one of these is 1 centimeter, right? So 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. So it'll be 3 centimeters long, 1 centimeter back, 2 centimeters wide. All right. So if each of these is 1 centimeter, so we're still using unit cubes. It's just now instead of saying unit cubes, we're going to say centimeters. All right. So this is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter for one box, and then I have 6 total boxes. So my volume is going to be 6 centimeters cubed, or 6 cubic centimeters. So on the board here, so let's say that we have, let's just draw this out. And we'll make this a little more complex since it's not going to fall apart on us now. All right, so we're going to say, it looks something. Let's make this a little different. Okay, so these are not going to be very good because I've done a really terrible job drawing them. Let's just erase this back. Okay, something like that, all right? Ignore the fact that my cube drawing is terrible. All right, so if we say that this is 3 centimeters, all right, so each of these boxes is 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, and then 1 centimeter going back. So here we have 2 centimeters. And then we need to know the height, which is, of course, 3 centimeters. Okay? Now, there's a couple ways that we could do this, right? We could look at this and say, okay, well, I know that for each layer here, right? So if I just looked at it as just this layer right there. Oh, I just probably ruined that marker. That's okay. For each layer, it's going to be 3 centimeters by 2 centimeters going back, so that means there's going to be 6 blocks, and then I have 3 sets of those 6 blocks. All right, so 3 times 6 is 18. That's one way to do it. Another way is just to, well, it's basically the same way, but just to multiply the numbers. It doesn't really matter what order you do it in. Oh, I say 16, it should be 18. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So really what you could do is you can multiply these numbers in any way that you want, right? You go 3 times 2 times 3, which we did. You could also do 3 times 3 times 2 is still 18, right? And since these are all centimeters, it's centimeters. So the book has you do 18 CUCM, cubic centimeters. Shorthand, or shorter hand for that is just to put a little 3 there. You guys may or may not remember me talking about when we were doing 2-dimensional figures, and you could just put the little 2 up there, and that's what it meant. Either one is fine. It doesn't really matter. You could even write out cubic centimeter if you wanted to, but I don't think any of you do. So yeah, so this will get you through both 11.5 and 11.6. They're pretty easy. It's really straightforward. I think you guys can handle it. So yeah, so good luck. As always, let me know if you have any questions, and I will help you out any way that I can.